This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Time to talk with Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio, the king of college football talk, and he usually joins us right about this time every Wednesday. Bill, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing all right. We've everybody's fired up here about Arkansas beating Kentucky last night. I don't know if you had your eyes on that game very much, but they punked him in the second half. Looked really, really good. I don't think Kentucky's dead at all. I just think Arkansas ran right past them. You know, at the end of the season, though, they get at Alabama and at Tennessee, and it certainly appears those are the two best teams in the league. But Arkansas was just the better team over Kentucky yesterday, and I think Kentucky's played well of late.
Yeah, and the SEC played. They had been playing good ball, and they did have a night. It kind of turned it around a little bit when they went to Tennessee and won. And they're still, by their standards, really limited when it comes to scorers. They have Shigwe, obviously, and then somebody on the perimeter might get hot. Shamir Wheeler has been a problem for them most of the year. He's played well at times, but he's been more of a problem. He can't shoot a lick. So it's been a tough year, but no, I'm not surprised Arkansas went in there and won that game. Arkansas is better than Kentucky this year.
Can you see any way Kentucky gets any kind of a roll going? Because there's some talent there. Like you said, they've been playing well too. They're not a consistent Kentucky team though. But do you think that?
No.
I mean, look, they looked good last year. They went 1-out against St. Peter's. This team isn't as good as last year's team, but you never know when it comes to March. That's what's weird about that tournament.
Yeah, they just don't score comfortably enough, though. Cason Wallace is a really good freshman who has a bright future. The Livingston kids probably not ready consistently. They don't really have a post presence other than Shigwe. Collins can be good, but he's inconsistent. It's by their standard, they got a heck of a recruiting class. Sorry about that, whatever that is back there. Sorry about that noise, but there's a lot of people, there's a lot of Kentucky fans here, and we're in Middle Tennessee, maybe an hour from the border, and there's a lot of people not real high on Cal.
Tell me what their feeling is, though, about Tennessee and regular season Rick, as they like to call him at times. Because, I mean, it's another one of those years where they're playing well enough, probably end up with a pretty good seed no matter what. What's the feeling in Tennessee? I mean, that's a fan base that's used to winning national titles and getting to the Final Four for the women's team. But what about on the men's side? Is there pressure on Rick Barnes to take that team actually to a Final Four?
No, not at all. I mean, they'd love to have it, but and basketball is popular here, but nothing obviously like football. And now that baseball's good at Tennessee for the first time in a while, that's got everybody excited. A week from this Friday coming up, but obviously, they're going to get to the tournament. They're going to have a high seed, and they'll probably flame out early. Offensively, it sounds like I'm talking a little bit about Kentucky. They can get into horrific droughts, and they really don't have, as good as they play defensively, you saw that Auburn game, low-scoring game, they really don't have that one go-to guy. If you have to have a bucket, guys, I just hop on my back. I'm going to take you home. I don't know that guy is identified for them.
I do want to ask you about this Super Bowl coming up, and I'm not saying I'm not a Jalen Hurts fan, because I am, and I think he's gotten better. I don't know if he's ready, if he's going to be able to have that moment. I do think he has a good team around him, but
right.
I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing. I think Kansas City wins this game and wins it comfortably.
I remember his last year at Alabama before he transferred to Oklahoma. There was a spring game, and not that I place any emphasis on the spring game, where he couldn't complete a pass. It was awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was. You could have been, running routes on grass against nobody. And now look at what has happened. It's an amazing story. Is he ready for prime time against a surefire Hall of Fame quarterback? That's your question, I think. And boy, now I think top to bottom, they have the better team. And again, I don't watch a whole lot of NFL, but top to bottom, I think they have the better personnel. But boy, he pulls this one off. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but you have a constant battle between Oklahoma and Alabama fans on social media.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, what do you think? Because both want to claim him. I don't see anything wrong with both programs and fan bases claiming him, honestly.
Yeah, it is funny. And if they win, that's going to be that battle is going to get heated up, right? If he's the Super Bowl champion replaced by Tua in a national championship game at halftime, that's a heck of a story.
It's like that question, Matt, that every professional athlete that's going to go into a Hall of Fame that's played for multiple franchises is asked, what hat do you want on? And they don't get to answer that, by the way. It's like the folks in Cooperstown are the ones that decide what hat you're wearing on that, but that's what they'll get asked. Nobody worries about that in college sports very much until like the last few years, because this is one of the few times where you get a guy who's had success with two programs. He didn't just like leave Alabama because he wasn't getting play, because he didn't play any there. You know, he wasn't going to play that last year, obviously, but he'd had some success at Alabama. Heck, he helped them win an SEC championship just coming off the bench. So this is a little unique.
It's very unique. And I do know this, though, guys. More importantly, I've got brisket and ribs ready for Super Bowl Sunday. So that's what I care about.
Do you ever smoke wings, Bill? You're a cow meat kind of a guy. Cow and pork. You ever smoke wings?
I have. It's just, you know what? As popular as they are, and I've got 5 boys and 2 girls, they don't really clamor for it. I mean, if I have it, they'll eat it, but it's always about the brisket and the ribs for them. Always supersedes wings.
I'm with you, Bill. I'm not a big wing guy as well. I saw this stat, and I just want to get your thoughts on this, that for over the last 20-plus years, LSU and Georgia have both had a player represent their team in the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
So out of the last 20 years, which fan base, which Georgia or LSU's had more success in college football? If you had to grade Georgia, LSU, who would be 1 and who would be 2?
Well, if it's just pure numbers, you're just saying success just playing football,
yeah, just
period?
saying the last 20 years, because they both won national titles. I mean, LSU's won 2 or 3, Georgia's won 2. You know what? They both had a lot of success, but Georgia had those 10 years with Mark Richt where they kind of Ricky Barnes did up there. They just didn't. They were just kind of regular season, but no real fight to them, and had a lot of talent, but couldn't win it. And then LSU, up and down a lot. I just didn't know who you thought had the better run.
Well, LSU, before Brian Kelly, their 4 coaches, Les Miles, Saban before him, obviously Coach O, all of them, I should say, three head coaches, all won national championships, 03, 07, and in 19. That's a hard one to debate because Georgia going back-to-back is historic.
Yeah.
That's basically impossible to do. It's happened, but it's rare, and they're going to be favored to three-peat. So, boy, that's like, again, guys, let's go back. Hope I don't make people mad. That's like beauty contest, and it's Miss Brazil and Miss Sweden.
They're 1A and 1B. Yeah, it's
yeah,
you
what do you
flip a
say?
coin. Yeah, they're both in that top tier, blue chip, top of the pyramid.
Right.
Georgia and LSU both.
They all end up fighting over who gets A and who gets B, even if they have the one next to them.
Right.
They're just going to compete about that anyway. So the big record broken yesterday by LeBron, and I was kind of wondering, like, some of the unbreakable records in sports. College football, Ron Dayne's career rushing record is never going to be touched. True or false?
What's the number? I don't even know.
Is it over 7,000?
7,125 yards. Dorsett is next at 6,526. But, I mean, Dayne played for, was it 3 or 4 years?
No running back's going to play 4 years.
That's the thing. No one's going to play 4 years, and nobody runs the ball quite that much. So I feel like Dayne's record might be untouchable.
You'd have to have a huge freshman year to start with, and then you couldn't have a slump after that. And most running backs will hit a slump somewhere in there after a really big year, and maybe it's an injury. Well, maybe it's a year where he's banged up or something.
And Bill, 2000. But Bill, I think just the way the game's changed, where if you could add if you could add the receiving yards with the running back, then maybe they could get there because they're asked to catch the ball. Bill, even when I played, we had running backs that you didn't throw the ball to out of the backfield, but nowadays you have to. You have to be able to catch the ball.
You almost ran for that many yards yourself.
Well, I mean, Dana had 2 seasons of 2,000 yards, just like you're saying, his freshman year, his senior year. But that's the idea, one, that any freshman is going to come in ready to run for 2,000 yards.
It's Adrian Peterson, maybe the last one I could think of.
And two, that the same guy is still playing 4 years later. Like, no way.
Yeah, that would, because you got to turn pro. That position is certainly finite with the number of bullets you have in your holster. You got to turn pro. So no way.
Let's see here. Coordinators, Alabama, Tommy Rees, Kevin Steele. Boy, the Kevin Steele story. You want to talk about like an interesting narrative here. Defensive coordinator wants to be head coach at Auburn. He and the boosters blow things up there. 3 years later, he's the defensive coordinator at Alabama. Again, this is it's kind of funny if it wasn't true.
Well, third time at Alabama. I've known Kevin since he was a DB coach at Tennessee in like 1988. He was a walk-on there, actually. And he'd been a lot of places. Remember, he's the head coach at Baylor, and that did not work out well. He's been at LSU. He's been at Florida State, Tennessee. Remember, not long ago, he sat up there at Tennessee for about 2 weeks because they told him he'd be on the staff, and they paid him $900K to be there about 3 weeks, and then they came in and cleaned house. Remember that? That wasn't long ago.
I'd forgotten
Just
about
a couple of years ago.
Easiest money ever made.
Seriously. I mean, he's a good dude. You know how Saban, Scott, and a lot of coaches have this one-voice rule, and you can't talk to the media. Last time when Kevin Steele was here, he called me every day. We talked every day. It was so funny.
Would Nick have known that he was doing that at that moment?
No, and I put that out on the radio because I didn't know he'd ever get called again. So probably that's going to get back.
It'll get back to him, but I don't think he'll. I don't think he's going to lose his gig over that. No, not at all.
No.
All right.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.